But moving on to the last topic of the night, the Boston Red Sox. And what player is going to have a big bounce back for the Boston Red Sox here? I'm curious to hear what you say, Pat, because honestly, this is a little bit outside of my profession.
Yeah, no worries, man. The Red Sox were terrible last year, and it was definitely disappointing. I think we're lucky that it was a shortened season because we didn't have to watch them as much. I probably watched the least amount of Red Sox games last year as I've done in a long time. But they still had some guys that were okay. I mean, Xander Bogaerts has been very consistent over the last few years. I think he's going to stay consistent. There's two guys that I think have a big chance to be bounce-back players this year for the Red Sox in their lineup, and I think they kind of go hand in hand. One is Rafael Devers. He wasn't terrible last year, but his OPS was well under 800. Didn't quite hit and get on base the way that he normally does. His fielding has still not been great, so he needs to get better at that hot corner at third base. And then I think if Devers is better in the lineup, he can also be helped and give help to J.D. Martinez. J.D. Martinez, has a big contract. He's really struggled last year. He's a creature of habit, and with the pandemic and all the different restrictions, and he kind of wasn't ready, from what I understand, to start the season, or like the everything was just kind of freaking him out a little bit is what they had to do last year. And I think his whole season was thrown off because of it. While, I got to say, JD, everybody's going through those things. You got to make your sacrifices. You got to figure it out. I do understand, knowing him, he's big on video. He's big on making adjustments throughout the game. He'll strike out in the first inning and come back in the third inning and know exactly what pitch the pitcher's going to throw. And then he hits a double or smashes a home run. That's just who JD Martinez is. I think he'll have a bounce back year this year. And again, that's going to help Rafael Devers hit better because they hit back to back in the lineup a lot of times. And also I think Devers hitting better is going to help JD Martinez. So I think those two kind of go hand in hand. And I think those are guys that I think are going to have big bounce back years this year for the Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like I said, not a big baseball fan and don't know too much about it. When summertime comes around, to me, that's off season of football. So I'm just so deep in football at that point that I'm just like, they're playing baseball. Okay. But I will say I know enough, obviously, about the Boston Red Sox, the local team here, and the team. And I would say, obviously, as a coach, the positional group that you're going to want to bounce back to have a big group is this pitching core. And we're going to need them to bounce back and have a great year. Obviously, if we're going to compare sports a little bit, the pitchers are like the quarterbacks when it comes to football. If they're having a bad year, then the team's generally going to have a bad year. So I think we're looking for this pitching staff to come around, hopefully bounce back and lead us to having a good season. But I would like to see J.D. Martinez bounce back and have a good season. Like you said, with that big contract, and I mean, when he came here, everybody said this guy's legit. He's going to be the one that's going to kind of help us get on track. I haven't seen it yet, and I'd like to see it hopefully this year. Hopefully he'll have a big bounce back year. But I guess my prediction would be hopefully the pitchers will have a big bounce back year and put the Boston Red Sox in a much better position.
Yeah, I think the pitching staff is going to have a tough time really being an elite pitching staff because Sales, they're recovering from Tommy John. He's not going to be back till, I think, midway through the summer at best. He might even be, they might even wait till later on in the year. He probably won't be fully recovered from that surgery until next season. So you really don't have that ace. Eduardo Rodriguez had COVID last year, really affected his breathing. He's got heart stuff going on. So he has a long way to come back too. And they picked up Garrett Richards, who's had injuries in the past. But I do think this team is going to be a little bit better than last year. I think the younger guys now with another year under their belt and just remembering how bad it was last year, it just wasn't fun to watch the Red Sox. Even if, they're not going to be a playoff team, which I don't think they will be this year, I think it's going to be more fun to watch the Red Sox this year. I think the lineup's going to be a lot better. And I think that they're going to score some runs in there. You're going to at least want to tune into the Red Sox games this every summer evening coming up here in 2021. So that's going to do it, folks, for our 10 sports topics here on Comeback Sports. Remember, if you want to tweet at us, ask us questions, or just want to chat about sports or anything else, life advice, whatever. I don't know how much I can help you there, but follow us on our Twitter handles. You can see them at the bottom of the screen here. Both Brandon's and my Twitter handles are there. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Comeback Sports. You can check out all the videos. Our great producer, Ben Kudo, is going to cut up all the different segments and add those in as well, in addition to being able to watch the entire show. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Comeback Sports, and follow us on Twitter, folks. And we will see you next time on Comeback Sports next Wednesday. Yes, sir.
Real quickly, I want to go back just to that Deion Sanders thing. Wouldn't it be great, and to your point, how they're going to load up on probably a Power 5 school, if Jackson State played Florida State, Deion's old school? That would be an amazing matchup that I would love to see happen, and just a storyline there going forward with that I think would be great. But I think a story that we have to have on this show is that topic you talked about, who's the better cornerback, Woodson or Sanders going forward.
Oh, definitely. Maybe when we get closer to the draft, or we can even do it next week. I'd love to talk about that. We'll definitely fit that in the near future on this Comeback Sports show. So I love it, Brandon. Great idea, buddy. We'll definitely discuss that soon enough. Thank you again for joining us, folks. We really appreciate you checking us out. Again, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We'll see you next time here on Comeback Sports, everybody. Have a good night.